My name is Margaret Bennett. I am 66 years old. I had just stepped off a 4-hour cross-country flight, exhausted but looking forward to spending 2 weeks staying with my daughter Lisa and her husband Mark. My flight had landed right on schedule. I stood beside the baggage carousel watching suitcases roll past, my phone in my hand waiting for Lisa's text that she had pulled up outside arrivals. I texted her 3 times. No reply. I called her number. It went straight to voicemail. The airport terminal grew busier around me. Families hugged, travelers greeted their loved ones, and I was left standing all alone with my heavy rolling suitcase. I had flown across the whole country to visit them. Every single dollar for my plane ticket had come out of my own retirement savings. I had even brought expensive birthday gifts for my 2 grandchildren, wrapped carefully inside my checked luggage. The whole point of this trip was to celebrate my granddaughter's 10th birthday. I had also promised to babysit for several evenings so Lisa and Mark could enjoy a much-needed night out. I kept dialing Lisa's cell phone. On the 4th call, she finally picked up. There was loud television noise in the background. She did not sound rushed at all. "Mom, what is it?" Lisa said casually, like I had interrupted her relaxing evening at home. I stared out the large glass windows at the busy airport pickup lane. "I just landed. I'm at baggage claim. Where are you?" She sighed down the line. "Oh no, I completely forgot. Mark's friends showed up unannounced. We're having people over for dinner. I can't leave the house right now." My grip tightened around my phone. "You knew my flight arrival time for 3 whole weeks. I traveled all this way to see your kids." Lisa's tone turned sharp and impatient. "There are rideshare services. Just order an Uber. It's not my fault you didn't plan ahead." A heavy quiet fell over me as I stood among crowds of reunited families. That was when I asked her the quiet question that changed everything. I called and asked, "You are really not coming?" Lisa huffed. "No, Mom, I really can't come. The guests are already here. Figure it out yourself." And then she hung up. I held the phone away from my ear. I could hardly believe what I had just heard. She expected me to pay for expensive last-minute transport, show up at her house late, and walk straight into her noisy dinner party like nothing had happened. She thought I would swallow my pride, spend more of my retirement money, and still play the happy, helpful grandmother exactly as she wanted. But I did not panic. I did not send angry text messages. I did not beg her to change her plans. I pulled up my banking and booking apps right there in the airport terminal. 2 months earlier, I had prepaid for almost everything for this visit. I had paid for the girls' birthday party supplies. I had pre-booked 4 evenings of expensive theater tickets for Lisa and Mark's date nights, and I had transferred money ahead of time to cover all the grocery costs while I stayed under their roof. Every single one of those purchases was under my name and my bank card. One by one, I hit cancel. The birthday party supplies order was fully refundable. I canceled it. The theater tickets had a generous cancellation window. My money bounced right back into my account. I reversed the grocery money transfer I had sent 3 days before. I left Lisa and Mark's personal flight untouched. I only removed every expense that I myself had agreed to fund. 10 minutes had barely passed since Lisa hung up on me. My phone exploded with notifications. Text messages popped up one after another. First Mark, then Lisa. They had opened their email and seen all my cancellation confirmations. "Mom, what have you done? The birthday party supplies are gone. Why did you cancel our theater reservations?" Seconds later, my phone started ringing nonstop. It was Lisa. I did not answer. I watched through the airport glass as a familiar car came speeding into the arrival pickup zone. Lisa had raced all the way from her house. She threw open her car door and scanned the crowd frantically, searching for me and my suitcase. But she was far too late. I was already sitting in the back seat of an Uber sedan. My suitcase rested safely beside me. My driver had already merged onto the highway heading in the opposite direction of Lisa's suburban neighborhood. I watched Lisa's figure grow smaller in the rear window as we drove away. My phone kept lighting up, call after call, text after text. I silenced my ringer and dropped my phone deep inside my handbag. I did not feel anger. What washed over me was a sharp, clear sense of realization. For 6 long years since my husband passed away, I had been the invisible safety net for Lisa's whole household. I helped with their mortgage down payment. I bought birthday and Christmas gifts for the kids every single year. Whenever they wanted date nights, I flew in or sent money. Whenever they faced small financial trouble, I stepped in to smooth everything over. They rarely said thank you. They simply told me their troubles and waited for me to fix them. Lisa forgetting my arrival and refusing to pick me up at the airport was not some innocent mistake. It was a choice. She truly believed my longing to see my granddaughters was bigger than my own self-respect. She took my generosity as something she was automatically owed. She assumed I would absorb the inconvenience and extra cost and show up ready to keep spoiling her family no matter how she treated me. My driver pulled up to my own quiet front driveway 2 hours later. I tipped him generously and wheeled my suitcase up my front walk. When I unlocked my front door, the house was calm and peaceful. I walked into the kitchen, filled my kettle and lit the stove. My phone buzzed nonstop on my kitchen counter. Lisa's messages grew more and more frantic. Mom, where are you? We are standing outside arrivals. Why aren't you here? The birthday party supplies got canceled. Everything for the girls' party is gone. Mark is furious. Those theater tickets were supposed to be our anniversary treat. I poured hot water into my mug and breathed in the steam. They had planned a whole weekend built entirely around my money. They had counted on me to show up and pay for everything, even when they would not even bother to come pick me up from the airport. Monday morning came with a quiet peace I had not known in years. I sat at my dining room table with coffee and my laptop open. It was time to close down all the automatic financial support they had come to take for granted. I logged into my bank account. There were recurring transfers I had set up out of motherly habit long after my husband was gone. One automatic payment sent $350 every single month, covering the children's after-school art and sport classes. I clicked to end that recurring transfer. There was another $200 monthly payment that went straight to Lisa's subscription box hobby. I canceled that too. I removed myself as a secondary user on their family credit card. I closed my laptop and felt an enormous weight lift off my shoulders. But my work was not finished. I drove to the local hardware store. I walked directly to the lock aisle and bought 2 heavy-duty deadbolt sets for my front and back doors. I did not call a handyman when I got home. I pulled my late husband's old toolbox out of the garage. For the next hour, I unscrewed every old lock. Lisa had held a spare key to my house for more than 10 years. She would drop by unannounced, borrow my belongings, and even store boxes of unwanted clutter inside my spare bedroom without ever asking for permission. I fitted the brand new solid brass locks. I tightened every screw firmly. I stepped out onto my front porch, inserted the new key and turned. There was a heavy, final metallic click. That sound was the sound of me drawing firm boundaries. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Lisa and Mark were back home, drowning in chaos. Without my prepaid supplies, they had to rush around town last minute to throw together a children's birthday party. Everything cost far more without my advance bulk ordering. The anniversary theater plans were completely ruined. They had to pay full emergency prices for party decorations and activities out of their own salaries, money they had never planned to spend. By Wednesday afternoon, a familiar car pulled into my street. I peeked out through my living room curtains. Lisa marched toward my front steps. Mark followed behind her, looking defeated. Lisa reached the front door and slipped her old spare key into the lock. It would not turn. She jiggled it hard. She pushed against the door. Nothing happened. She began pounding her fist against my wood front door. Mom, open this door right now. I set down my book and walked to the entryway. I unlocked the deadbolt and pulled the front door open. I did not step aside to let them inside. I stood firm in the doorway. What have you done to your locks? Lisa demanded, her voice raised. You ruined our granddaughter's birthday plans. All of your cancellations created total chaos for our whole household. Mark folded his arms across his chest. That was completely out of line, Margaret. You left yourself stranded at the airport and punished the whole family over it. I looked calmly at both of them. I did not shout. I offered no apologies. You ignored my flight arrival and refused to pick me up at the airport, I told them evenly. I only took back the money and reservations that belonged to me. This visit and everything I paid for it was a gift. You rejected the giver. Lisa's face flushed bright red. It was just a small mix-up. You could have just ordered an Uber and come over. You were supposed to show up and help us with the party. I do not fund gifts for people who treat me as an afterthought, I replied. Have a good rest of your day, Lisa. I stepped backwards and slowly closed my front door until the latch clicked shut. For the next 2 weeks, there was total radio silence from Lisa's household. I knew exactly what game this was. It was the silent treatment. They hoped I would cave in, feel guilty, reach out first, offer money to make everything better. I refused to play along. That weekend, I cleaned out my spare bedroom. I found 4 large cardboard boxes full of Lisa's old belongings, children's outgrown clothes, old home decor, and used sports gear, piles of stuff she dumped in my spare room because she did not want it cluttering up her own house. I dragged every box downstairs, stacked them neatly on my front porch, and covered everything with a waterproof tarp in case of rain. The first of the month rolled around. At 9 o'clock in the morning, my phone rang. It was Lisa. The silent treatment was over. There was no warm greeting. No polite small talk. Did you mess with our bank transfers? She snapped immediately. The kids' after-school classes didn't get paid. The subscription payment bounced. The company emailed me this morning. I wiped my kitchen counter with a damp cloth and spoke in a steady, calm tone. I canceled those automatic monthly payments. I am no longer covering your children's classes or your personal subscriptions. You cannot just do that. Lisa shrieked down the phone line. We built our household budget around that money. You know Mark's work bonuses have been really low this quarter. Then you two will need to adjust your budget, I answered smoothly. From now on, I only pay for my own hobbies and my own expenses. You are punishing us all over one tiny mistake at the airport. This was not a small mistake, Lisa, I corrected her quietly. Your choice at the airport showed me exactly how much respect you hold for me. I am simply adjusting my financial help to match that level of respect. Before she could start yelling another long tirade, I kept talking. All your stored boxes are sitting out on my front porch. Please collect them before Friday. I ended the phone call and set my mobile deep inside a kitchen drawer. 3 weeks later, I received a surprisingly polite text message from Lisa. She wanted to invite me out for dinner at a nice downtown restaurant. She said she wanted to clear the air, apologize, and repair our mother-daughter relationship. I knew my daughter far better than she knew herself. This sudden soft tone meant only one thing: they needed something from me. Without my regular monthly money coming in, household bills were piling up fast. I agreed to the dinner invitation, but I would not go by myself. I invited my younger sister Eleanor. Eleanor is sharp-minded, observant, and completely immune to Mark's smooth-talking sales charm. When we walked into the restaurant, Lisa and Mark were already seated in a corner booth. Their smiles looked forced and tense. Mark pulled out a chair for me and acted as if the airport incident had never happened. We placed our food orders and made meaningless small talk about weather and Eleanor's vegetable garden. The moment our dinner plates were cleared away, their real purpose came out. Mark pulled a glossy folder out of his leather briefcase and slid it across the white tablecloth toward me. Margaret, I am glad we could sit down together, Mark began, laying on his practiced charm. Lisa and I have been talking about our family's future. There is an amazing business investment opportunity. It has guaranteed projected profits. We just need $45,000 for the initial investment capital. Lisa leaned forward in her seat, nodding eagerly. It is a safe bet, Mom. Since our visit fell apart, we thought you could redirect that travel money over to help Mark's new business. Eleanor slowly sipped her wine and raised one eyebrow toward me. They had not invited me here to apologize. They had invited my wallet to a sales pitch. A plate of fancy restaurant pasta was supposed to make me forget being abandoned all alone inside a busy international airport. I did not open the folder. I left it sitting untouched beside my drinking glass. Mark's easy smile began to fade as silence stretched across the dinner table. Margaret, did you hear our proposal? Mark pressed. It is only a loan. We will pay every cent back within 5 years. I looked directly at Mark and then at Lisa. The answer is no. Lisa's whole body tensed up instantly. Mom, please be reasonable. You have plenty of money sitting in your retirement savings. Why are you being so stubborn? We said we felt bad about what happened with the airport. You have never actually said you were sorry, I corrected her softly. You brought me here tonight to ask me for funding. What happened at the airport was no accident. It laid bare exactly how you see me. I am a convenient safety net, a silent sponsor for your whole lifestyle. That is incredibly unfair. Mark snapped, his face turning red. We include you in everything we do as a family. You include my bank account in everything you do, I replied, keeping my voice level and calm. For years, I helped cover your housing costs, children's activities, trips, and hobbies. That arrangement ended on that day inside the airport terminal. Lisa's eyes welled with angry tears. So you're cutting us off completely? You will just watch us struggle because of one little incident. I will watch two fully grown adults learn to manage their own household finances, I told them. I pulled two crisp $50 bills from my purse and set them firmly down on top of their glossy business proposal folder to cover Eleanor's dinner and my own meal. I stood up and straightened my coat. Good luck with your investment idea. I turned and walked for the restaurant exit. Eleanor followed right behind me with a quiet little smirk. The heavy silence we left behind at their booth hung thick in the air. But the evening breeze outside felt lighter than it had in many years. By the end of that week, family gossip was spreading fast. Realizing private manipulation had failed, Lisa tried to turn other relatives against me. She posted vague, dramatic posts online talking about toxic older family members who use money to control their children. She also phoned several cousins, spinning a one-sided story, claiming I had suffered some kind of emotional breakdown, selfishly ruined the grandkids' birthday out of petty spite, and refused to come for the planned visit for no good reason. On Sunday afternoon, my phone rang. It was cousin Janet, appointing herself as family peacemaker. Margaret. Janet sighed heavily over the phone. Lisa is absolutely heartbroken. Whatever fight the two of you had, shouldn't you try to be the bigger-minded person? You should not hold your money over her head. I was out in my front yard watering my rose bushes. I kept watering while I spoke. Janet, Lisa intentionally ignored my scheduled flight and refused to come pick me up at the airport, simply because guests showed up at her house. So I canceled all the prepaid gifts and support I had arranged for their visit. There was a long, shocked pause on the other end of the call. Wait a minute. She refused to come get you from the airport? Janet stammered. She lied to everyone about what really took place, I said plainly. I hope you enjoy your Sunday. I hung up. I did not write defensive social media posts. I had no desire to drag my private family life into public online arguments. Truth speaks quietly for itself. I walked back inside my home and opened my laptop. I booked a quiet mountain cabin for 2 full weeks. I picked exactly the dates I wanted. I paid for this trip entirely with the money I had saved by ending Lisa and Mark's automatic monthly payments. For the first time in many years, I was spending my retirement savings completely on my own joy. It felt absolutely wonderful. 3 months slipped past. Autumn arrived, tree leaves turned gold and red all over my neighborhood. I returned home from my mountain trip feeling rested, peaceful, and comfortable with my new quiet daily routine. One crisp autumn Tuesday morning, my doorbell rang. I peered out through my front door peephole. It was Lisa. She looked worn out and exhausted, her hair pulled messily back. She clutched a handful of past-due paper bills in her hands. I unlocked my deadbolt and opened the front door, but I kept the screen door latched shut between us. Mark's work hours got drastically cut, Lisa blurted out, voice trembling. We can't cover the children's activity fees anymore. If we don't catch up on bills by Friday, some services are going to get shut off. Her eyes filled with tears. She was waiting for old motherly instinct to kick in. She expected me to unlock the screen door, pull her into a hug, and write a check to fix every single one of their problems. A small sad twinge tugged in my chest. She was still my daughter. But I could not forget that lonely afternoon I spent waiting all by myself inside the busy airport terminal. That memory kept me grounded in reality. I am truly sorry you are going through this stress, Lisa, I said gently through the screen mesh. I need $4,200, Mom. Just to get us caught up. Please. I reached over to the small table beside my doorway. I picked up a spiral-bound notebook I had written in and pushed it through the mail slot of my screen door. It landed with a soft thud onto my front porch at her feet. "What in the world is this?" Lisa asked, wiping away her tears. "It is a household budget plan," I explained calmly. "I mapped out how you can cut non-essential spending and restructure your monthly expenses. It will help you get through this difficult period." Lisa stared down at the notebook on the porch. All her tears vanished in an instant, replaced by sharp, burning anger. She kicked the spiral notebook hard. It went flying off the porch and landed deep inside the front bushes. "I do not want a notebook. I want my mother." "I am your mother," I told her. "I am just no longer your personal bank." I pulled my heavy wooden front door closed and locked the deadbolt firmly. 6 months rolled by, and spring flowers bloomed all across the neighborhood. Lisa and Mark did not lose their house, but they came dangerously close. They cut many of the expensive extra activities for the children. Mark picked up weekend part-time work to boost their household income. The days of unlimited free financial support from me were permanently gone. The dynamic between mother and daughter shifted completely. Lisa still called me from time to time. Our conversations were short, polite, calm. There were no more automatic money demands. When she started complaining about money struggles, I would simply stay silent. But if we chatted about books, garden plants, or the grandchildren's school projects, I was warm and happy to talk for as long as she liked. She lost her sense of entitlement. She finally understood she could not count on my savings to rescue her whenever household difficulties appeared. One afternoon, my sister Eleanor came over for tea out on my back patio. We sat in shade under our big oak tree listening to local birds chirping. "I ran into Lisa at the grocery store yesterday," Eleanor said as she poured another cup of tea for herself. She was actually carefully comparing prices on grocery items. I almost could not believe my eyes. I smiled and watched a little robin hopping across my green lawn. Hard times are a very good teacher. Eleanor looked over toward me. "Do you ever regret drawing such firm hard lines with your own daughter?" I thought for a moment. I thought of the huge weight I used to carry, constantly worrying and paying other people's bills. I thought of all the quiet disrespect that had slowly grown inside our relationship over many years. "No," I answered honestly. "I do not regret one single choice I made. I reclaimed my house, my money, and most importantly, my peace of mind." My daughter thought refusing to pick me up at the airport would force me to bend to her will. She believed I was desperate to keep my place inside her family circle. Instead, that lonely afternoon showed me exactly how much of myself I had been giving away, and how perfectly fine I would be without those one-sided conditions. They left me stranded at the airport. So I went home. And the home I returned to was finally fully, completely mine. If you take one lesson away from Margaret's story today, remember this: it is very easy for us to mix up financial help with genuine love. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do both for your relatives and for yourself is step back and let them solve their own life struggles. Setting firm boundaries does not mean you stop caring. It only means you refuse to let your kindness get mistaken for weakness. True respect can never be bought with money. Protecting your own peace of mind is the best investment you will ever make. What would you have done if you were standing alone in that busy airport terminal just like Margaret? Please share your thoughts down in the comment section below. I read every single comment. If you enjoyed this real-life boundary story and you want to hear more stories about reclaiming your own power, hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell. It truly helps this channel grow, and I cannot wait to bring you our next story. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in our next video.